Hello, and welcome to another video by myself, Chris from Sorare on a Budget. And tonight's video is a little bit different. I am going to be doing a little bit of an Ask Me Anything. I've got a handful of questions from Twitter, and yeah, I'll be answering some of those. In addition to that, I'm also going to take a look at the week's news. So it's been a huge week in the Sorare world. If you're new to the channel, if you could give it a little subscribe, that'd be fantastic. We do have a competition running at the moment. If you've not seen on Twitter, which my Twitter page is @Sorare on a Budget. If you're viewing this before Sunday the 26th, I believe it is, if you head over there and follow the instructions on my Twitter page, you'll be able to enter a competition to win a free card. It's open to anyone. However, the card will only go to an account that has been open since July. So it's really for new users. However, if you're an existing user, you can do it and you can nominate an account to get it sent to, kind of paying forward your win. If you're new to Sorare altogether, you can join on my link at the bottom there, which is www.sorareonabudget.com. It'll also be in the description below. If you sign up on there, you will be able to get a free card when you sign 5 from the new card auctions. I've signed a new card recently this morning, which is Eric Martel, 19-year-old on loan from RB Leipzig to Austria Vienna. Really pleased to have picked him up. I've got a little bit of an Austria Vienna stat going on. Not the greatest team in the world. However, I've now got 2 midfielders and a forward from there. The forward's actually their number 9. So I'm quite pleased with that. And I'll see how that goes. I've got it in the global this week. I've got my Champion America team in there as well. So yeah, without further ado, I'll have a quick review of this week's news. Obviously, Sorare got a massive injection of funds, $680 million, which is just an astronomical sum. It just shows you the strength of the brand, the strength of their vision, and the product. I'm delighted to have been on it since March. I'm absolutely gutted that I've not been on it since last March. The guys that have obviously the early onboarders have done extremely well. I've done extremely well as far as my budget and where I came from. Yeah, I think there's going to be massive news. That you're going to see some great expansion in the game. There was also articles this week about the Premier League joining as well, and that was in the mainstream press. I think it was the Telegraph had it, and they did describe it as like panini stickers, which was a little bit, when people don't know what they're talking about, they kind of just relate to things like that. I mean, it's far more than just buying panini stickers, but yeah. Also this week, the Rookie League has been open permanently, which is fantastic news, especially for onboarders and those who don't necessarily want to put money into the game right away. They maybe want a little bit more than just the 8 game weeks to get used to Sorare. And it's going to give users more of a taste and maybe give them that, whet the appetite to actually start investing properly in the platform. So those people who have maybe, joined and only played for the first few weeks and have just disappeared after that because, as I say, they didn't want to necessarily invest or they couldn't invest at that time. They might get, attracted back to the game, and it'll just be great for the overall growth of the game. The other bits and pieces from this week, there's obviously new clubs coming on. I seen Corinthians were coming on board this week, and obviously there's been the Lionel Messi launch, which went a little bit bonkers. The super rare card going for over 65 grand. And obviously we've got the unique card coming up. Not sure if that's this weekend or if it's going to be next, but it'll no doubt be one of the power hours on a Sunday night, and that'll be prime time viewing for anybody of any interest of Sorare whatsoever. Easily 6 figures. How much? God knows. Let's just sit back and enjoy the ride for us minnows. But yeah, that's kind of my quick overview of this week's news. I'll have a quick look at the game week before I jump into the questions. I have got a few teams entered, as you'll see here. I've got a team entered in the Rookie League, which is purely just common cards. The global, I've got 2 teams at the moment. I've still to pick up a player. As you can see at the top here, I have 0 balance. So if you're looking for a bargain tonight, have a look at what I've got for sale and give me a shout. Division 5, I've got Van Hamel from Beershot in. I've got Ogawa. However, he left the game injured the other day. I think it was yesterday, actually. So I'm looking to pick up a defender to replace him with. I've got Koyamatsu, who kind of plays as a false 9 for Sagan Tosu. Douglas Vieira kind of found a bit of form, been getting in amongst the goals. And Thiago Santana, he did leave the game last week with an injury cross beside him, but it was the last couple minutes of the game. I'm always dubious when it comes up like that, 87th minute and a guy kind of hobbles off a little bit. Time wasting, they were winning the game. So, that's where I'm at with that. I will come back out of there and I will look at the Division 4 that I've got set up. Division 4, this is a team that I could easily put into Challenger, but as it stands, I'm sitting them in Global. I might change that before the deadline, but this is a team that I would be rocking with. Sahin Radlinger from SV Riyadh. I picked him up. I still think he's tremendous value. I got him for 0.2. You could pick him up for about 0.22 at the moment. Starting goalkeeper, he's a safe number 1. You'll see at the side there, I've actually got the backup as well. If you're buying a rare goalkeeper and you don't buy their backup, you need to reevaluate what you're doing. If Sahin Radlinger got dropped and Haskell's in the goal, the values will just balance between the two. It's an insurance policy. I've got Schwiesenbrugger, who had a fantastic week last week, and in the last 4 game weeks, he has his lowest score is 58. So he's got my captaincy, and they are at home. They are at home to Klagenfurt. And then I've got my little stack. Well, controversy about stacks, but to be honest, this is a low budget one. Although Eric Martel did cost me about £200, which kind of goes against my on a budget. I have spent a lot on him. However, in my view, at 19 years of age, on loan from RB Leipzig, there's a long-term project there as well. So he's one that I may well look to move on. If he does well and his price goes up exponentially, then my strategy has always been to sell. I've seen Hanny Murter sitting at 0.189. I sold him at 0.14. However, I did buy him at 0.06. So, you just need to find the right time for you to sell. And I'd rather sell when they're on their way up rather than on their way down, and try and get I kind of look at it like wholesale. Your corner shop isn't buying things at the price they're selling them to you. They're buying them from the wholesaler at a cheaper price. So that's kind of the way I look at things. I make my profit, and if somebody else gets their profit, brilliant. Everybody wins. I've then got Manfred Fischer. I've just signed him as well, and he's the attacking midfielder. And then I've got Jurasin. I'm just please just stop with the big missed chances. 5 in the last 2 game weeks. He's getting amongst the chances. I just need him to take one of them, and that would be fantastic. Moving on from there, I have got a Challenger Europe Division 5 team. That is not the finished article. It's an entire Altac stack at the moment. I need to replace the midfielder. He is their captain, but he's a low scorer. And Krisman, he's been on the bench the last couple of game periods. I'm needing to replace those two. And I will do. I'll do that before the game week. I will get a sale and I will get them replaced. Not too sure who with. It's going to have to be a slightly cheaper options, but I will figure something out with those. And finally, that would be my America team, and this is the standard one. I am waiting until the last possible minute to find out about Jeremy Ibobise. Benji Kikanovic, he played in midweek, started, got a full 90 minutes, under 23 as well, so I've got a little bit of utility there. I got for 0.02, so that's a bargain price. If he plays, he plays. If he doesn't, the team's screwed, but we'll see what happens. We've got our standard Atlanta pair. Atlanta are on a tear at the moment. They're away to Philadelphia, so that'll be a big test for them to see if they can continue their form. With the likes of Barco and Lennon, I'd find it hard to say that they can't continue that, but we'll see. Probably one of the in-form players in the MLS at the moment, Eduardo Lopez, known as Shofis. I've got him captained. I think his last game there was 82 and it was 86 before that. Great form. He scored 5 goals in 2 games last week. Espinosa coming back from injury, and so his score's a lot lower than it has been. He did get amongst the goals last week as well. And then I've got Kikanovic, who got an assist for Espinosa's goal. But I don't know whether it'll be him or it'll be Ebo Bese. Those 3 all from San Jose. So it's a double stack that I've got set up in that one. And, if one of them scores, there's a good chance the other one's assisted it. So that's my strategy with that. And we will see. We'll see what happens. I mean, they're at home to LAFC. And again, they've not been doing too badly and they're trying to make a late push for the playoffs. So we will see. Hopefully they make the playoffs. I'll get an extra bit of utility for them as well. And we'll see if they can progress. So that's my game weeks. That's where I'm sat at the moment. We will see if there's any changes before the deadline. But without further ado, I'm going to look at Twitter and I'm going to bring up the questions again. I've got them sat on my phone, so I'm going to be looking down to read these. And I will cover off what I can. So the first one I've got here is from Nick Taylor. And the question was, how challenging is it to do Sorare on a budget right now? It's twofold. I think there's still great value. If you see the videos, especially last week's rare one, there's a lot of players still under the 0.03. You can get some great value in the likes of the J League, and indeed the K League. The K League, I didn't realise they still had some games because they split into championship group as well. So there's more games left. There's another 5 games after the split. So I think there's still 7 or 8 games left there as well. Now, 7 or 8 game weeks in Sorare is a long, long time. You can pick up those players on a budget, play with a common goalkeeper, and be grinding out the ETH, whether it be the 0.01 or the 0.02. But if you've only invested, say, 0.1, so if you've invested at the moment, that's about 220 quid. If you're getting back 22 quid, though, you're getting 10% of your investment back right away. If you're getting to the higher ETH, you're getting almost 20%. Well, would be at the moment if you're putting 0.1 and you're getting 0.2 back, you're getting 0.02. You're getting 20% of your investment back. So there is still plenty of opportunity to do that and to work on a budget. I don't see why anybody can say otherwise. If you do your research and you find the right players, and you look at some of the guys that are giving advice, like myself, and some of the other pages. There's definitely scope there to make a profit and to be able to work with it. One of the other questions I had, it's not on this one at the moment. I think it was on my DMs, and I'll answer it at the same time. I'm not too sure who asked it, but they asked, is it worth going for a limited squad over a low end, maybe an ETH grinding Division 4 team? And my simple answer to that at the moment is no. I would be going for the Division 4 team, and I'd be working smart with my money. The reason I would say for that is, the limited goalkeeper market has gone a little bit bonkers at the moment. Some of the prices are quite high. So you're going to need to fork at least half your budget into a goalkeeper. Now, the only prizes at the moment are cards, or the top 3, podium places getting some ETH. But beyond that, there isn't a threshold to be aiming for until the progress bar comes out, and that may change. I do believe that will change when the progress bar comes out, and we may see a change in strategies from folk at that point. However, as it stands at the moment, I would be investing, if I'm sitting with, say, 0.1, I'm going to find 4 budget players, probably from the J League or possibly even the K League, maybe MLS, and I'm going to be using those players to try and grind out some ETH. That money that I get in, I'm going to reinvest that, and I'm going to reinvest that into better players that I then start to be challenging maybe for the higher ETH as opposed to the lower one. Looking at the lower one as being a given so long as you've not got DMPs. But then maybe even just looking at giving yourself some depth. Or if you wanted to, start taking that money back out, transfer it to Coinbase or whatever, if you wanted to recoup your investment. That way you can then look at starting to play for free. So for me personally, I think if I'm a new user to the game and I've got that sort of, say, 200 quid budget, I'm going to look at getting rare cards. I'm going to look to try and grind out that ETH, and it's through videos like the ones I've done there with, last week with the rares, and looking to find those bargains, because they are there. And I hate to say this, but you know, my videos I've done because I'm sitting going through research and I'm going to try and find, you know, the information for each of these players. Not everybody does that. You know, not everybody's sitting for hours painstakingly going through like the Austrian Bundesliga to try and find players that are maybe averaging 45 to 50 every week. And you know, and find those ones that are the regular starters that are there week in, week out, and are grinding those scores. So there is scope. There is scope. I think that would be my strategy for that one. And yes, you can do it on a budget, and I think we're all, you know, I did it to start with. I'm still buying some budget players, but then I have been able to build that up over time to allow me to buy somebody like an Eric Martel, and build the squad up a little bit more. The next one I've got here is from Face Dancer, and he has asked, can you explain the boom in prices in March and April? I also see one or two spikes in the price, and that skews my value of a player. I'm not sure what happened. To be honest, I joined at that point. I joined in the boom point. I can't really explain other than the fact I think there was a lot of onboarding at that point. Ethereum went through the roof at that point as well. That's where it went, you know, started heading up to the £3,000 mark. I started at 1,200, and within 6-7 weeks it was up to £3,000. So that had a knock-on effect to things as well. But I think the main part of the boom was onboarding and a lot of people getting on. It's kind of like the moment we're in just now, and what you're seeing with some of the prices, especially around the limited goalkeepers. Although there's going to be 1,000 of them, at the moment, there's still only, you know, maybe 60, 70 of each. So if you're looking at 11,000 new people coming on board to the platform over the course of a month, like they did from August to the middle of September, that's, you know, you've got a lot of people trying to buy few cards. And that's why I think the rare cards have still got tremendous value to go back up again. You have seen some of them decline a little bit in price, but the good cards as such have held their value. So that's really what happened. You know, a lot more people coming on board trying to buy this limited, you know, this small group of cards. And I think we're going to see that going forward. You know, the more people that come on board that are wanting to buy rare cards, say like this Eric Martel, there's only 20 of them at the moment in the rare format. So if you're looking at, you know, 33,000 or however many, I think it was about 33,000 was the, you know, the figure that said had the cards. That's a lot of people. If this, you know, if Eric Martel kicks off this week and, you know, gets 100, let's say, there's a huge demand all of a sudden for that card. And there's only 20 people you can buy them from, and I'm one of them. So if somebody wants to buy that card from me, I can name my price and see where we go from there. So that's kind of what happened with the boom. More people on board, and you know, the card supply is what it is. So yeah, that's kind of where I would look at that. So if you see those spikes, the other thing you need to look beyond the graphs as well is on Sorare data. It's great to look at a snapshot, but when you can see some of them coming right down, you know, from say 0.1 and they're coming down to like 0.05, you've also got to take into consideration how much was Ethereum on that day. A lot of the people price in their own currency. And so if at one point a card was maybe sitting at, say, I'm going to say for argument's sake, £150 because Ethereum's 1,500. So this card's sitting at 0.1 for 150 quid. With the Ethereum creeping up and up and up at that time, the actual price of the card, which is what, you know, your Sorare data is going to show you initially, that would then be, say that 0.05, sorry, that could be the same pound value. So sometimes you need to do a little bit more digging than just looking at a graph. It's a great looking, but there's an old saying, numbers can lie and liars use numbers. So anybody could spin a number to say whatever they like it to say. Dig a little deeper, look, you know, beyond just, you know, point one, you can go and Google, you can find it, you know, Ethereum 31st of March, what was the value of it? And then look at Ethereum 26th of April and see where it was. And you can have a look, and the pound value of those, what the card was worth, not going to be far off. So that was kind of where I would say that. One from Ryan here. We have a favourite player you've had on Sorare, and favourite moment from one of your players. Favourite moment's easy. Hani Mukhtar hat trick, 13 minutes, I think it was, and I bought him a handful of days before for 0.06, and I took 0.14 for him, and you know, that was 150% profit almost. Huge, and that really opened up a lot for me, and allowed me to make some serious investment in some. Yeah, that's easily my favourite one. I scored the first one, the second one went in, and I kept getting notifications from SofaScore coming up on my phone. I wasn't watching the game, and it was phenomenal. My partner was actually doing an essay for her master's course for her nurse practitioner role, and she had her headphones in, and I kept screaming, and she was like, "What are you doing?" Because she had an essay for the next day, and I was like, "He's just scored! He's just scored! He's just scored!" And yeah, she wasn't too. She just was like, "Look, I'm busy. I don't care." Favorite player I held, that would probably be one of my early ones, and that would be Machida. Yamato Machida from Oita Trinita. He was one of the early ones that just went on a tear for him, and every week he was either scoring or assisting, and he got me through the 250s so many times with a common goalkeeper. So it just goes to show that it can be done. And sorry, I'm just trying to adjust because I'm sitting on my feet here. Yeah, it can be done. Common goalkeepers, I think this week at one point, I don't know if it's still the same, but there was somebody was sitting first with a common goalkeeper. Can be done. You just need to have the right players surrounded by him, and the right bit of luck, because at the end of the day, it all comes back to luck. Now, I've got one on my DMs, and I'm just going through here just to check to see. Yeah, that's fine. So I've got one on my DMs here, and this is from Spike. So, started to watch your videos from about 2 months ago, and always find them informative. Thank you very much. I love getting feedback about them, whether it's good or bad, because if it's bad, then I can work on things. You don't know what you don't know. This has been a trial and error for me for the last few months, and I've absolutely loved every minute of it. And yeah, so getting feedback like that's phenomenal. I really love to hear that sort of thing. Nobody's interested if you are performing background tests. I've just seen your tweet asking for questions, so here goes. I currently find myself with lots of cards. 40 to 50 cards now. Is that lots? It's all relative. I don't have that much. I think I've got 29 at the moment. But I don't have any real strategy. I tend to watch videos like yours and buy players, but I have to curb that now. I also find it difficult to sell cards, and I'm not greedy. Any guidance for those like me? Yeah, first and foremost, I've got a strategy. Decide which leagues you're looking to contest. Global would always be where I'd put my strongest team, because you've got the best chance of getting an actual cash return on there from the thresholds. Now, that's just for me personally. If you've got a phenomenal team and you think, you know, I've got a chance to hammer the Champion America League, I've got a chance to hammer, you know, if you've got a Bayern Munich stack, you want to go for Champion Europe, go for Champion Europe, especially if they've got a favourable fixture. However, you're probably going to want to find yourself a league that you want to play in. If it's global and something else, because if with 40 players, you could probably, you know, work that and pick maybe 2 leagues to focus on, and focus on them strongly. So you may well have, you know, maybe say 20 or 30 players that are maybe, you know, are cheap purchases that you're looking to invest, you know, maybe sell on at a little bit of a profit or what have you, because that's what I did for a long time. And then I decided I was going to get myself at least one team that was just strong, just very strong. And that's when I decided to invest in Brad Guzan as a keeper. And then I tried to pair him up. I was, you know, obviously you see all the things about stacks, and it worked for me. I put him with Anton Locks. I did want Brooks Lennon, but he was out injured at the time, so I went with Anton Locks. Formerly Portsmouth, bizarre, fantastic defender in the MLS. And then, yeah, just finding, you know, you find a league, maybe condense a little bit, maybe reduce it by even 10 to 15 cards. That way you could then take that fund and then, you know, invest in some players that are maybe a little bit more than what I've necessarily been putting in these videos, if that's comfortable for you. Finding stronger players, finding the ones that maybe averaging 50 as opposed to 45, maybe averaging 55, and building a solid global and maybe another, whether it be, I'd probably avoid Champion Europe just because of the cost of some of the players. I'd maybe look to the Challenger Europe, especially since we're still we're still early in the season. You could maybe look at building that up from there. And I would look not necessarily to a specific. You maybe look at a specific country, because that's what I've done. I've went with the Austrian Bundesliga at the moment because it allows me to just have a small focus rather than trying to look and figure out, right, I've got Belgium, I need to track the Belgian league, I need to track the Dutch league, I need to track the Russian league, I need to track, if you've got players all over the place, I can sometimes, for me personally, I'm working at the moment 50, 60 hours a week. I'm trying to do these videos. I'm trying to keep on top of Twitter. I'm trying to keep on top of a lot of things. It's a lot of plates to spin. And for me personally, I've got my MLS team and it's split across two sides. I've got Atlanta and I've got San Jose. And then this one now with the Bundesliga one, I've narrowed it down because I did have a couple of Belgian players. Now I've just got the Austrian Bundesliga. Now I know at certain points, both, all these teams that I've got players from are going to have to play Salzburg at some point, and they're probably going to have a bit of a mare that game because Salzburg are going to stroll it because of the money. But at least that way, I'm not having to split my attention across various different leagues. So you might want to have a look at something like that. That might help. In terms of selling the players and selling the cards, if you've got that many cards, you may want to keep an eye out for trades. Rather than having to sell them, you may look and build something favourable. Now, I could be guilty of it as well as everybody, but I'm not usually too bad. I usually do try to make any trade offers I'm sending people probably favourable to them. Unless it's ETH. If it's ETH, I maybe try, I'll knock the price down a little bit. Same way we all do. Everybody does it. That's just the nature of, buying and selling. But if it's a trade and I'm wanting to send players, I'll maybe send something that'll be over slightly on the value of what they're sending. Obviously, if you're doing it with somebody like Pavel, you're probably going to want to send, the 120%. It is what it is. I've had my rants about him. I've had my rants saying it sucks, I can't get deals through, I can't do this, I can't do that. But maybe just take a step back and just try and look at the bigger picture and be like, okay, what's best to figure out? So look at your Sorare data prices on each of your players, put together a decent package and send it over for the player that you're after. You probably, if you're looking at Pavels to do trades with, to find, these players, you probably want to look quickly at his most recent ones that are coming in, because usually if he does get a decent player, they get picked up pretty quickly. So that would be my advice on that. If you are looking to sell them, I usually look at the lowest market price, set a minimum of what you're willing to accept on it, and price it a little bit above that. So if the lowest one in the market, say for somebody is 0.05, I'll stick mine at 0.05 or maybe a little bit less. And I'll put a minimum at what I'm willing to accept for that card, say maybe 0.045. Sometimes it's handy because you can see that, okay, that person's, got a minimum. That's probably what they're going to be willing to accept. And that's, what you might get your offers coming in at. And not be too precious, trying to figure that from there. So the other part of your question there, let me have a quick look. Any guidance? I think a spreadsheet would help. I don't see any templates out there on the web. Yeah, I've got spreadsheets where I keep track of how much I paid for the cards, things like that. I do try to keep an eye on basically what I've spent on it in my own currency, which obviously you can tell from the accent, it's going to be pounds. And, whether ETH goes up or down, is bearing that in mind, because, it will go up, it will go down, but what won't change is, the pound value you've paid for a card, and trying to maybe work back to that. So if ETH's gone through the roof, you can't realistically expect to get the same ETH value back for that card. You will probably get the same value or more in pounds, and just looking at it that way. So yeah, that'd be my advice on that. It's not necessarily being greedy. Sometimes it's just hard to get sales. Other times you can maybe get 6, 7, 8 offers in one go, and you're like, where's this all come from? So yeah, I tend to find if you are looking to get good sales, the day before the game week opens for the weekend, so always on a Thursday. I tend to find that I get a lot more offers on a Thursday. And if there's a midweek fixture and you've got players, say there's only a select amount of MLS games, for example, and you've got some MLS players, bung them up on a Monday, you'll probably find that you'll start to get them in. I tend to refresh mine every few hours, so it bumps them back up to the top, so it's some of the first ones people see. But it's a lot of work. Whether it makes any difference or not, I don't really know. Psychologically, I think it does, and it probably doesn't. But for me, that's what I've got there. And the last part, you said, finally, the kits you do, they look great. Thank you very much. I love doing them. What do you need from me if you wanted one? If anybody wants them, all you need to do is find me off a DM. Let me know what sort of colour scheme you want. If you've got a style in mind, if you want, similar to an actual kit, I won't put any logos on it. So there won't be any Nike branding on it. There won't be any, a sponsor on it. You'll see that if I have got a sponsor on it, it's been a specific one somebody's asked for. It's maybe in their own company. Or in some cases, I've got cartoon clip arts of certain things, or Petrov's face or what have you as well. So if you did want something like that, I can obviously accommodate. Yeah, they're 0.005 ETH. You could send that over as an offer on Sorare. If you'd rather pay by PayPal, I've got my PayPal address. I can fire that off as well. I think I've done in total maybe about 60 or 65, maybe 70 even, of them. Various different styles. I've tried not to use the same style twice. If you've just got a colour scheme, you can just fire that to me and let me crack on and I'll find something. I've rarely had anybody say, I hate that. I don't think I've had anybody say, I hate that. It's usually, what if, maybe a slightly different colour or a slightly different shade or that sort of thing. But yeah, that's kind of that. Thank you very much for your questions. It's kind of a shorter video. Might not actually be shorter. I think it might actually be longer, but it's a very different one. Thanks to everybody who subscribed to the channel. As I say, head over to Twitter at Sorare on a Budget. You'll be able to get entered into the competition to win a card. All you've got to do is follow Simply Alex and retweet the tweet. Ideas for upcoming videos. If you've got any suggestions, I will do a challenge of Europe 1. I'm going to look at the VAR cards and also the limited ones. It's the start of the season there, so we've got a handful of games to look at data from. And yeah, I'll have to look at that. Again, if you're new to Sorare and you've made it all the way at the end of this video about something you're not even involved in, thank you. But you can join at sorareonabudget.com. That'll take you straight to the Sorare website, where if you sign up using that link, you'll get a free card when you get 5 from the new card auctions. So thanks very much for your time. I look forward to maybe doing another one of these, maybe try and do it live even, and see how we get on with that. But yeah, I will let you get on with the rest of your evening. Good luck with your game weeks, and I will speak to you all again soon. Take care.